Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with the Fan TV, man. Back action on the video. Like the content of the video, go smash that like button at the content of the channel. Go and subscribe, man. Look, so the Ravens just finished their joint practice with Green Bay in Wisconsin as they're going to get ready to play them this weekend, right? For the final preseason action before we get right into the regular season, all right? So I just kind of want to talk about what happened at practice and, get into it how we usually do, all right? So, now I will say this, right? We're going to be fair and honest with it. Tonight for today, the Packers definitely won the practice. Okay, to be open and honest about it. Right? It didn't seem like the Ravens had their best day. The offense struggled. The defense was better, but Packers still had plenty of good plays on defense as well. Okay, so as far as the Ravens offense goes, in particular, they said the Ravens offensive line struggled today. There was one point, now listen, now some of this is from a Packers point of view or whatever, but still, the information is the information, right? But that the Packers were in the backfield, especially during this red zone period. They were in the backfield almost every play. One of the Packers writers said that, Lamar Jackson was running for his life and it wasn't about play design, right? So pretty much a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson trying to maneuver, escape, and things like that. Doing what Lamar does, but in a way that wasn't good for the offensive line, right? Now that's the biggest question for the Ravens on offense. Well, it's one of the biggest questions for the Ravens going into the season on offense, right? Between that and wide receiver overall, right? But they said the offensive line did not really have that good of a day today. All right. Lamar, like I said, Lamar is under constant pressure. Packers D line. Pretty much having a field there early on in that session. Now, during this red zone period, right, so there was some good that came out of it. Zay Flowers, Charlie Kohler caught touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson. That's great. We know what Zay Flowers is going to do. And Charlie Kohler, maybe he'll pop up here and there to give the Ravens another pass catching option, right? So that's a good thing. But, it was a up and down kind of day, right? They had multiple false starts along the offensive line. Usually, the guys usually take a lap. I don't think they did that in Green Bay. You know what I mean? But yeah. So for the Ravens offense, it really wasn't that good of a day. You get to some of the second team stuff. Josh Johnson was picked off again today. Things like that. So if I had to say a couple of positives, right? Flowers and Kohler touchdown catches in the red zone, right? Lamar Jackson apparently threw a beautiful deep ball to Malik Cunningham, right, who went down the field, caught it. All right, there was a question about whether or not he was inbounds or out of bounds, but either way, beautiful deep ball down the field to Malik Cunningham, okay? And then there was, I guess it's some one-on-ones, right? Offensive line, defensive line one-on-ones, excuse me. Rising Rosengarten versus Rashawn Gary, who is one of the premier edge rushers in the NFL right now. So Rosengarten held his own and actually stonewalled Gary on this rep, right? So that was good to hear. We know that Rosengarten, if he could do anything, he could pass protect, right? We know he could pass block. So coming from that system in Washington, that's what he had to do a lot. And he hasn't really faltered that much here. Now, he's gotten beaten here and there. I remember there's been times, Dafi Owe or, David Ajabo getting them, but nobody's going to be perfect 100% of the time, so that's not the expectation, right? But for the Ravens offense, we knew that the offensive line was going to be the thing that if there's anything that's going to hold this team back, is that, right? It's going to be the offensive line. Now, I will say this, right? This is not just saying this because the Ravens didn't have the greatest day, right? Joint practices are just to get work in against a team that's not yourself, right? You know what I mean? Now, the Ravens have already played preseason games, so this isn't like, oh, we're happy to hit somebody else. It's a little deeper than that. But at the end of the day, you're not doing game plan specific things, right? You know what I mean? You're not going to show the Packers your whole game plan, right? It's a preseason game, whatever, but that's just not what it's for. It's to practice and get the reps in against somebody else, okay? Why I say this is because winning the day doesn't mean anything in terms of which team is better going on throughout the season, right? Green Bay is a very young, talented team. They'll be fine. I'm not saying anything like that, but I just think of stuff like Green Bay had a joint practice with the Broncos. It didn't go well for Green Bay apparently, right? They struggled on some things here and there. Okay, cool. I think Green Bay will be better than Denver is this year, right? The Jets and the Panthers had joint practices, right? And the Panthers absolutely dominated the Jets pretty much on both sides of the ball. Bryce Young had a great day on that. The Panthers defense picked off Aaron Rodgers, I believe, multiple times, so on and so forth, right? I think the Jets will have a better season than the Carolina Panthers, right? So just because you get dominated or you don't have a good day in a joint practice doesn't mean that now throw everything down the toilet, right? It doesn't mean that, right? It's just other team had a good day, right? It's as simple as that. It happens, right? All right. Now for the defense side of the ball, like I said, not as bad really, but Roquan Smith caught an interception today on Jordan Love. They said he dropped one or two other ones, but so Roquan Smith was there, pretty much reading Jordan Love out. Now they did say that Kyle Hamilton got injured, but that it's not a serious injury. Apparently, he had a one-on-one with Christian Watson, jump ball kind of thing. He went up, came down hard, was walking around with some of the trainers and whatnot. And I think that was probably the end of his practice, right? So Harbaugh says it's not a serious injury. Maybe he just took a hard fall and that's it. But we'll see what happens with Kyle Hamilton. Hopefully he's okay. This has been a rough training camp for Kyle Hamilton in terms of injury, right? His play has been good. The injuries have kind of caught up to him, so hopefully he's all right again. All right. So there was Nate Wiggins got beat like a 40-yard plus completion on the field to one of the Packers wide receivers, Malik Heath. So that's not to say that the defensive backs didn't make any plays, but it was up and down for the team as a whole, right? So this Ravens, I think that the joint practice is a good thing because it can kind of show you where you at, right? And the Ravens still got lots of things to work on. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter, right? How the team is going to play now doesn't mean that's how they're going to play week one or whatever going into the season, right? So, I'm happy that they got to see this, right? Because for me, the biggest thing is that, especially since, really J.K. Dobbins got hurt, Harbaugh has pretty much made it clear that, important starters aren't really playing in the preseason, right? And I completely agree with that notion, right? I had no issue with that, okay? This is the most work that Lamar Jackson is going to get against good opposition until he plays the Kansas City Chiefs week one, right? So Lamar himself seemed to be fine, right? He was accurate, completing passes to different receivers. The O-line just didn't hold up as much, right? So, if it's a game scenario, maybe Lamar escapes the pocket, this and that, whatever. We don't have as many quote-unquote sacks today, right? You know what I mean? But it is what it is, right? So, for the Ravens, it's a learning moment, teaching moment, get better from this point and move on, right? It wasn't just Packers either, so I want to bring that up. The Packers defensive line was in the backfield on run plays as well, right? They talked about Devontae Wyatt wrapping up Justice Hill. They didn't say too much about Derrick Henry, I'm not sure, but the defensive line for the Packers got after it today. All right. Also, the 2-minute drill, the Ravens really didn't score the 2-minute drill. They had 3 times, right? So it was the Ravens starters, right? The ones got a field goal. Well, a field goal attempt, Tucker missed from 62 yards. The 2s, that was Josh Johnson's interception. And then the 3s, turnover on down, right? So rough day, okay? For the defense, like I said, there was the up and down part of it is also because there was a part in the red zone inside the 10-yard line. Jordan Love, 4 passes, 4 touchdowns, right? So, it was an up and down day for the Ravens today. All right, so we'll see what happens in the game, but it's the last game of the preseason, right? We're not putting any stock into that. It doesn't really matter except for the guys who are trying to make the team. But in the context of what it's going to mean for this season, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll put it at maybe a 4, right? You know what I mean? That 4 is really about the offensive line, right? It could matter in terms of, okay, what is the offensive line going to do when we put them out there versus Kansas City, okay? But in terms of defense, remember the defense, right? Like I said, the Packers have a really good young team. They have a good young offense, quarterback, tight end, wide receivers, running backs, you name it, the Packers have it, right? So I'm not really worried about the defense being up and down against them, right? So the offensive line doing what they did, that's probably the thing that's like, okay, is this real cause for concern? Because if you're a Ravens fan, you give the team a little bit of benefit of the doubt because they've been able to take guys like John Simpson and, Ben Powers, get good play out of these kind of guys in years past, right? Can they do it again? Can they keep doing it? That's going to be the question, right? So, but listen, that's my thoughts. That's what happened today. I'm not panicking about joint practice. We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks when, they got to play the Chiefs for real. And we'll go from there, man. But it's Gabriel, just Fan TV. I'm out.